Hello again, my lions. So, this week we will not be having Zooms because I am at school getting ready for those of you that are coming back to in-person learning, making sure everything's nice and clean and sanitized. You can still email me though, and I'll try to figure out a way to get with you on Zoom if we need to. But just know that there won't be any set times this week because of that. But this week, we are doing multiplying and dividing rationals in real life. Last week, we talked about adding and subtracting. So this week, we are doing multiplying and dividing. So, just like what we talked about last week with your word problems, we are going to make sure that we understand what we know and what we need to know. So I'm going to start by boxing the things that I know. So Miss Neville is baking 5 batches of cookies. So we're doing 5 batches of cookies. And you need to be able to see that. And I want the outline to be blue. Okay? So she is baking 5 batches of cookies. She will need 2½ cups of flour for each batch. Alright, I'm going to change up my shape. She will need 2½ cups of flour for each batch. Okay. Alright. And then it tells us that she begins with a 20 cup bag of flour. So I'm just going to underline it. Okay, apparently it doesn't like that. So we're just going to do it this way. Alright. So she started with a 20 cup bag of flour. So what do I know? Alright. I know that we're baking 5 batches of cookies. I know that I need 2½ cups per batch. And I know that I started with 20 cups of flour. Okay, so that's what I know. I know I'm baking 5 batches of cookies. I need 2½ cups of flour per batch. And I started with 20 cups of flour. Now, it asks, what's the resulting change in the amount of flour in the bag? So that's the last thing that I need to know. So I want to know what the resulting amount of flour is. All right. So what does that mean? What do I need to know? I need to know how much flour is left. Is left. That's what I need to know. So now I'm going to plan it out. What's the first thing I'm going to do? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out how much flour I'm going to need. Now, how am I going to do that? Well, to do this, I will multiply the number of batches being baked the number of cups needed per batch. Okay? Now, why do we do that? Well, because if I know that I'm using 2.5 cups of flour per batch, I could add that to itself 5 times because I'm doing 5 batches, right? I could do that. I could add it 5 times. Or I could just take that 2.5 and I could multiply it by 5. It's the same thing. And that would be a lot quicker and easier. So the first thing I got to do is I got to convert that 2.5 to an improper fraction. So I'm going to convert 2.5 to an improper fraction. So I do what? What do? I do 2 times 2, which equals 4. Then I do plus the 1, which equals 5. And that's all divided by 2. So 5 halves. All right. Then I'm going to take 5 halves. And I'm going to multiply that by 5. Now, here's what you got to understand. When we are multiplying a fraction by a whole number, you have got to understand that there is an understood 1 under that whole number. Now, I talked about this in the instructional video, but you have to understand there's an understood 1 there. So I'm going to go ahead and put it there. So it's 5 over 2 times 5 over 1. So then when I multiply straight across, I end up with 25 divided by 2. Okay? So now, that's how much flour I used. So I used 25 over 2 cups of flour. So now I have to figure out how much is left. So that's what was used. So now I'm going to subtract what I used from what I started with. So I'm going to subtract, I'm going to take the 20 cups that I started with, and I'm going to subtract the 25 over 2 that I used. Okay? Now, got to get a common denominator again. So, again, that's a 20 over 1. So remember, you're going to multiply by opposite denominators. Okay? So I have 20 divided by 1 forgot my parentheses, minus 25 divided by 2. So I'm going to multiply this first one by 2 over 2, and I'm going to multiply this second one by 1 over 1. Okay, so I'm going to come over here because this is now going to be my solution. I'm going to transfer it over here. So I have 20 divided by 1 minus 25 divided by 2. Okay, I'm going to come down. So now I'm going to bring that 2 over. So 2 divided by 2 times that 20 over 1 minus, I have that 25 divided by 2. Now I'm going to multiply it by that 1 over 1. Okay. Now, does 1 times anything change it? No. But in order to keep our process the same, so you guys don't get confused, we're going to put it there anyway. Because remember, we're multiplying by opposite denominators. I want you to get in the habit of doing it every time, even if it's just a 1, so you don't forget that's what you're doing. So now, 2 times 2, or 2 times 20, is 40. divided by 2 minus 25 divided by 2, which gives me 15 divided by 2. Now I can't leave it as an improper fraction. I have to convert it back to a mixed number. How many times is 2 going to 15? 7 times. So 7 is my whole number. 2 times 7 is 14. So that gives me 1 left over. So 1 is my numerator and 2 is my denominator. So there are 7.5 cups of flour left in the bag. Okay? So that's more practice with your fractions. All right. So remember, it is very important when you are doing these word problems, you need to think through the problem and then follow the sign rules and operation rules. By operation rules, I mean, are you multiplying? Are you dividing? Are you adding? Are you subtracting? Okay? So you're following whatever the problem is telling you to do. Okay? So that's that one. Now let's look at this second one. Jody has 6 1/4 pounds of candy. Oh, I bet that's going to be important. We better make sure we box it. Jody has 6 1/4 pounds of candy. Sounds good to me. I used to give out candy. I won't be giving out candy this year. That's for sure. Sorry. All right. Now, Jody's going to use this candy to make Valentine goodie bags for her classmates. If she puts 3/8 of a pound of candy in each goodie bag, so she's putting 3/8 of a pound of candy in each goodie bag. Then how many Valentine bags can she make? Last little piece I'm gonna. Okay. So how many Valentine bags can she make? All right. So what do we know? All right. We know that she has 6 1/4 pounds of candy. We also know that she is putting 3/8 pounds in each goodie bag. Okay? So that's what we know. What do we need to know? We need to know how many goodie bags she can make. All right. So what are we going to do? This is where I would have y'all telling me stuff in the classroom, giving me ideas. We would talk about them. I miss that. I really do. Okay. So this is what we're going to do. So we know that she has 6 1/4 pounds of candy. And we know that she's putting 3/8 pounds in each goodie bag. So we are going to have to think of it this way. Let's say that I had 4 pieces of candy and I was going to give it to 2 of you and I was going to divide it evenly. What word did I just use? Divide. So what she is doing is she is dividing the candy out. So that is what we are going to do. We are going to divide the amount of candy she has by the amount that she is putting in each bag. Okay? That's what we're going to do. So we are going to take the 6 1/4 And we are going to, do I have a little division? Looky, y'all, I do. Next. It's my division. Is it against the rules to have a division sign? Why can we not just have a division sign? Ah, looky, looky! I got a division sign. Now, how do I do it? Did it insert? Oh, I got like 50 of them. Huh? Okay. Yay! Divided by 3/8. So excited, y'all. Okay, let's think back to our rules about dividing fractions. Think, 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 think. What do I do? I remember, first of all, I have to convert this to an improper fraction. So I do 6 times 4, which equals 24, plus 1, which equals 25. And that's all divided by 4. Now, instead of division, I'm going to multiply, and I'm going to flip-flop the second fraction. So instead of 3/8, I have 8/3. Ta-da! Now, multiply straight across. That there's what I do. So, have 8 times 25. We can do 8 times 25. Anybody? Anybody? Why aren't y'all answering me? Oh yeah, I'm talking to myself. That's why. Okay, well, I'll tell you then. 8 times 25 is 200. Here's an easy way to think about it. 4 times 25 is 100. Well, 8 times 8 is twice 4, so it would be 200. So 200 divided by 12. So now I'm going to come over here because it's going to be part of my solution. So right now I have 200 divided by 12. That can be reduced by 4. Okay? So I'm going to divide both the 200 and the 12 by 4. That gives me 50 divided by 3. And that just makes it a little bit easier to work with. So now, how many times does 3 go into 5? Once. So that there leaves me with 2. How many times does 3 go into 20? 6 times. Now, here's my question. I'm going to get 6 and some change, right? So 6 and then dot, 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 dot. Can I have a partial bag of candy? Is that going to be fair? So, like, if there were 3 of you and I had 5 pieces of candy, and I gave 2 of you 2 pieces and 1 of you 1 piece, is that fair? No, I wouldn't do that. You either all get the same amount or you don't get any, right? So if she has enough for 16 bags and then just a little bit more, do we count the little bit more? No. So she has enough. She can make 16 bags. I say goodie bags because that's what they call them. Goodie bags of candy for her class. Okay? So if you can't make a whole one, then we go down. Okay? We go down to what we do have. That makes sense? I hope. All right. So this week we are doing things a little bit differently. Instead of y'all having to wait on me to get around to checking your work, I have done something a little different. So now, let me zoom back out. I had zoomed in because it was so small. All right, so now you're still going to be responsible for your classwork. Hopefully this week, most of you will do it, unlike the past 2 weeks. But instead of doing it on here, so that you will get immediate feedback. When you did your MOL on classifying numbers last week, y'all did it on a program called Go Formative. That is what you're going to start doing your classwork on, because then you have your grade immediately. You know what you did, you know what you missed, and that way you're not waiting on Miss Long to finally get around to checking your work. Especially now that we're going back into the classroom, because I'm not going to have as much time to be flipping through the slides. Because I'm actually going to be in the classroom and in front of people. So I'm not going to be sitting here answering questions like on the computer all the time. So from now on, your classwork is going to be through Go Formative. It'll still be this worksheet. You'll see this worksheet that's in front of you right here. But you'll answer the questions in Go Formative, and then you'll get your results. That was the word I was looking for. So for this worksheet, you are looking for the one that says real life rational problemas. Okay? So that's what you're looking for. Then after you do that, you will come back here and you will do your MOL. Now guys, remember your MOL is to be done last. It's after you've done the video, you've done our classwork, our practice together. The MOL is to see how much you understand. You don't do it before everything else. And make sure you've done your warm-up for today. You guys aren't doing your warm-up. Do y'all know how many zeros I've had to put in the grade book? This is ridiculous. Come on, guys. Get your stuff done. All right? Okay. So, back to Google Classroom, find your assignment for Go Formative, and then come back here and get your MOL done. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.